We pick up on episode 2, where the kids are still on lockdown to kind of make sure that the whole scuffle from the previous episode blows over. And Lily begins playing her flute. She decided to do the same song as with the sea dragons, and the whole mojo begins again, but not as severe. So there's like some images of dragons flashing on the ceiling. The mention of their father starts here, which is a point that I will bring up later in another episode because there's some questions I have about that. But you don't really get an explanation, at least not yet, of where he's at or why he's gone. Uh, just that that's kind of the norm, that dad's not there, and it's just mama and grandpa raising the kids. Something definitely begins to arise with the Fangs as the scene shifts to show the Fangs getting ready for what seems to be war. But while this is going on, the kids are definitely getting stir crazy because they've been locked up for way too long, and it is driving Grandpa nuts. He decides to convince Mama that they've waited long enough and that the kids should be safe to go out and play with some friends because they'll be on the outskirts of town and they really shouldn't be going across any fangs or anything. They end up playing an in-universe game that actually looks pretty fun. It reminds me a bit of like soccer and lacrosse mixed together with a few other details and rules thrown in. And Jenner is crushing big time on this girl named Sarah. She's one of their friends, and it's completely adorable, and she's a pretty cool character. They all really are. Each of them brings to the table something of their own. Grandpa heads to the flower shop while the kids are playing, and we begin to see into an underground group. You see some symbols hidden in plain sight and secrets being shared between him and the flower shop owner. Her name is Verinia, and they're being careful to make sure that others don't overhear them, like even like some humans. So it's definitely an underground situation happening. We get flashback to the kids, and Janner ends up playing hero and volunteers to rescue Sarah's ball because it lands in the forest and no one's wanting to go get it, and he's trying to be all like charming and brave, and is super cute and adorable. Like their whole thing. I'm definitely a Janner and Sarah shipper. But we are introduced further into the dangers of the forest and a couple other creatures. And we also get a better introduction to Pete, or Sockman as many call him. He's the town crazy, and we get to see some pretty cool moves on his behalf as he helps Janner out. And we also notice that Grandpa seems to not like him as he gives him some glares when he notices them. It's another grudge Grandpa seems to have that we have no background to, which hopefully we will get more background to Grandpa's grudges, and the reason why is in season 2. We don't really get too far into it in this season, just little hints here and there. I have to say though, watching Pete in this episode the first time around, I really was thinking that he was faking his insanity and maybe even that he was the kid's father. Like I thought that was really cool. Could be a possible twist. Evening comes and we see even more glimpses of the underground group as they hide weapons and transport them to some other place to be hidden further. And as we have already gotten to know, weapons are highly illegal, and if you get caught with a garden hoe and get in trouble, I'd hate to see what swords would get you. But we just get a quick glimpse of them at the night, and then the next day comes and we see the boys go to the bookstore again, and even more so the impression that Mr. Retief, the bookstore owner, is most likely part of the underground group, as not only do his new shipment of books conveniently come the day after the weapons are dropped off, but he kind of gives off his accent and he corrects himself even though he's hooded. You kind of like, hey, maybe I should be paying attention at that point. But he's another pretty cool character in himself. Definitely a shop owner to appreciate and get some wise words from. But as the boys are doing their thing in the bookshop, we are taken to see Grandpa and Lily working together as he lets loose some critters that they caught prior from their garden into an ex-friend's garden, and Lily isn't for it because she's like a sweet little thing until Grandpa shares that it's sort of like a way to still kind of mean something to each other, that he did it originally for revenge, pulling pranks on each other, but as the years gone by, it was kind of just like a habit and their kind of thing then. But we are brought back to the boys as Tink finds a secret hideaway in the bookstore, a little cubbyhole that has a map hidden away in it, and Janner tries to convince him to put it back, but they get almost caught with it, and Tink sneaks it home to later reveal it again at bedtime. Jenner again tries to tell him, like, hey, you need to, like, take that back, but Tink convinces him to let them look at the map for the night since they have it anyway, and they see some markings on it and come up with that it's for the resistance and are unsure why Oscar or Mr. Retief, that Oscar's first name, Retief is his last name, has it. That kind of ends the scene for them, and then it shifts to the out scene where we're introduced to some woman, or maybe she's a Fang. I'm not entirely sure. Uh, she doesn't look completely human. She has some physical characteristics that show that she is possibly something else. Her eyes and hair are pale beyond usual, and just the point that her being part of the leadership of the Fangs and her being human, I don't understand why they wouldn't have problems with that. Like, that in itself seems like there's definitely some reason behind her being there if she is human, but most likely probably another, I don't want to say hybrid, but another human like being, kind of like Zuzab. But definitely it doesn't seem like it is the same species as Zuzab. We find out even more of some hidden plot that's on the Fang's part. They are beginning to steal kids for some kind of ritual or another. It doesn't really get too far into it, just that they are needing kids to perform some stuff that apparently grown-ups can't do as well, because her words, they are more malleable. And we hear about these Aniran jewels that are super important and are hidden, and the things are definitely wanting. They don't specify super why, but definitely that they are in need of them.